Hello and welcome back to Tony Northeastern. And looking at this video shot, you're probably wondering where you are on the layout. Well, I shall give you a clue. Right, you can just see the newly painted bridge right in the foreground there. And we're following the tracks here to the end of the line and where the new set of points is going to go. So basically we're going to make a start on South Shields, and this is where it's all going to start from. Okay, track plans. Here are some track plans I did ages and ages ago, and as you can see, there's the entrance into the station here. 3 tracks across the centre, and then 3 buffer stops here at the end. And you can see how many times I've had a go at it. And this is the track plan I'm going to follow. I've done a lot of research into this, looking at photographs and from memory, and the crossover starts just on the station approach, and because of space restrictions we're not going to use this, so my track work starts from there. As it comes into the station, it splits up into 3 lines all the way down right to the end, and then crossovers from either track back on the out line. So that's the plan. Originally in South Shields there was a turntable right at the end. I have not got space to put that in. The goods yard, however, was at this side of the station. There was no sidings or nothing like that here, but this dotted line here will be a new one. I'll just put that in. It's not prototypical, it's what I'm going to add as an extra feature, but the principle, this area is the same, where a goods train can come out, cross over the centre line and go out, and you've got a return loop for both sides of the platform, the goods side and the passenger side. I'll go into more depth on the station when we come nearer the time of actually building the station. So that is the plan. Okay, as you can see, I've just started to lay out some of the points that I've got, and following the plan as best I can, and that'll be the centre rail. This side here will be up against the platform, that'll be there. It looks like it'll work. The baseboard itself is not screwed down, I've just got it laid there for the minute just to see how I can fit everything in. But this is just going to give me a general idea of how things are going to come together. And as you can see, that's the outgoing, that's the incoming. So I've got a large radius right missing, which I'm going to have to put in order. And that's the incoming through there, so the incoming can come straight across there and straight into the platform on this side here, which will be there. So you've had a little glimpse in the last video on this baseboard coming together. So I think the next plan is to kit this baseboard out with the points. Because what I want to do is fix the points and the point motors to the baseboard before I screw the baseboard down. Because I haven't got a lot of height under there. If I just hold the rule up, 115mm. And so it's just enough to get your hand in. But trying to screw on those seep switches is going to be quite hard, I imagine. Right, so the next thing is to start marking out where these points are going. Right, so firstly, the first section of track that's got to be put in is this crossover. It's temporarily pinned there and there, so that now won't move. And this right hand long radius curve and this long radius curve can now be marked out for the hole positions. As you can see, I've already marked out for the point motor here. I've also marked onto the next baseboard, just as a rough guide to where these 2 points are going to actually sit. But that's depending on how well we can get this baseboard lined up with this baseboard when I come to build the frame, because this is just sitting loosely at the moment. So I have marked out for the holes here, here, here and here for the feed for the crossover, and I've also marked out the holes for the large curve radius here. And also I have also marked out the holes for the large radius turnout there, which is exactly the same as that one there, a right hand turnout. So with all that done, I can now lift off all these points and crossovers and start drilling this baseboard. Okay, the track work has now been removed, and you can see where the holes are for drilling for the points and the crossovers, and also I have marked out for the beams that are underneath, so I can drill those out as well at the same time. That's all the holes drilled for the support beams where I marked, and for the point motors, and for the feeds for the crossover, and so on and so on and so on. And I've learned through past mistakes by making these holes elongated that way. So I've drilled them to the usual 10mm, but I've just moved the drill backwards and forwards just to give them a little bit more of a slot on the holes. So the next thing to do is to wire up the points and the crossovers for this baseboard. Right, the first point I'm going to tackle is this crossover. It's pre-insulated, so I don't have to do too much wiring to this. But where there's a gap in the rails there, I don't know if you can see that, just there where the gap is, this is where I've marked out on the baseboard for putting the cables. So I've already put a little bit of flux where the cables are going to go, so I've just got to put a little bit of solder in there, a little bit there, and a little bit in there. So what I'm doing is I'm putting the red cables on this side, and the black cables will go on the far side. So next thing to do is where I've tinned it, okay, as you can see I've already fluxed the cable and it's already been pre-tinned, so all I've got to do is just attach the cable to the track. Okay, that's one. And I've already pre-tinned and fluxed this cable ready, and this is B2. Okay, I shall do the same with the other side with the black cables. Okay, that's both sets of cables done. As you can see with a crossover, this red cable will feed across, jump over and feed this side of the track, and this cable here will feed this side of the track as well through the frogs, keeping them isolated from the black cables. Right, it's back in situ, and luckily for me the pins line up perfectly with the original pinholes that were put in there, so everything is back where it was when we first marked out for the holes. So the next thing to do is to do the two right hand radiuses. Okay, I've just soldered the cables onto the long radius right hand turnout, keeping the red on the side closest to you when this comes on to the baseboard, and I've soldered the cable onto the pre-fixed wire which you get with the points, which is there, and soldered the cables across those two rails there, and also removing the tabs which were in here, so that the frog will be powered by the point. The points on the crossover has now been put in place. I can quite happily now fix them permanently to the board. Everything's going to line up quite nicely. I just tilt the camera slightly, that's going to come round onto there nicely, so that's going to line up. Just got to cut it and fit it to it later on. So yeah, the hole there lines up underneath, so I'm quite happy with that. So I can put the next right hand turnout in. Okay, now I'm happy with what I've got here. I'm just going to flip it over now, and we're going to have a look at the other side. Okay, here we have all the feeders which will go to the buzz bar eventually. That's for the crossover, and these are for the 2 points, and here are the 2 holes for the point motors. As you can see, the 2 feeds for the frogs have gone to a terminal block, which will then go on either side for the point motors. So that will be the next job, to fit the PM1 switches. Right, that's 2 down. I've still got one more to do over there. This is the actual start of the junction where we come across the bridge, and as you can see I have put the commons in to the frogs, which are those 2 feeds there. The rest of them I'll take power from the DCC loop, and the rest is the other 3 here, the green, yellow and grey, go all the way back to my control panel. It is a lot easier putting the point motors on this way up rather than getting underneath the baseboards. If you can pre-think where your junctions are going, this way is a lot easier to do. To line up the these rails, I forgot what you call them now, I just use a little bit of wire, at least like this. Yes, to line up these 2 rails centre of the track, I just used a little bit of wire which keeps the actual hole in the centre of the point, which helps to line it up. I've still got these to cut down, and I've got to check the polarity of the frog here, make sure that I've got these the right way around. Okay, I'm just going to do a quick check now just to make sure that I've got the polarities right on the frog, because if I've got it wrong then it would short. So I'm just going to do that quick test. I'm using the Class 55 to do the test. Okay, that seems to have worked. Just bearing in mind I haven't got any power to the crossover yet, because it's taken the power from the frog through the rail connectors. Okay, it's been a successful weekend this weekend. I've managed to get the crossover in and the dropper wires in ready for connection. We've tested these two right hand long radius turnouts, so they're ready to be installed, but the baseboard is still loose, it's not permanently fixed, so that's what we'll probably look at either next weekend or the weekend after, because we've still got the framework to make for this baseboard here. As you can see, it's just resting on the pillars. Right, I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen, and I'll catch you again next time. Bye for now. Bye.